Yes, and very important. And they identify you the way you put on. In the crops, there are some crops that look alike, but they are not the same. You meet something that looks like a sugarcane, like coach grass stem. It looks like sugarcane, but you go and eat it. Identity matters. Sugarcane is sugarcane, coach grass stem is coach grass stem. So many people have been coming up, put up all the attires, and our Christians who are very innocent, they don't identify. This one is Church of Uganda, Karaje. This one is Church of Uganda, Bishop. This one is identified as Church of Uganda, Church Minister, especially in the areas of bishops. Recently, I met one of the persons seated on a border, came out, and then he went to the market. And he was pushing a wheelbarrow. And he was putting on the bishop's attire, the shirt, the purple. We said, no, these things are going very far. So, my friends, it is very important to put on the right uniform if you belong to that organization or that faith, so that you are identified properly. If you are a nursing officer and you put on like a doctor, then you are going to confuse people. If you are a soldier, UPDF, and you put on like the LDU, then you are going to confuse people. So our prayer is that be identified properly. So Christians know what does it mean for that uniform, as the one leading us. Uniform, it is just a shirt. For us, every attire and every part of the attire has a meaning. And if you don't know the meaning, you just put it on in the market, you put it everywhere where it is not supposed to be. My prayer is that as we identify people by uniform, know them, and also go for pastoral counseling. My prayer is that not every person who puts on purple is a purple man. There are some who are black, but they put on purple. Therefore, know the person of God by identification. May God bless you. Abooluganda tulina ebyambalo byaffe ng'abalabirizi mu Church of Uganda. Ate ebiseera ebiyiseewo abantu bangi bataddeko ebyambalo byaffe bya uniform y'abalabirizi ba Church of Uganda. Ate abantu tebalowooza bulungi, ono wa Church of Uganda, ono wa another church. Ate bonna bateekako, bonna basajja ba Katonda, bonna balina engoro, bonna balina papo, bonna balina. Abooluganda, waliwo UPDF officer, waliwo police, waliwo LDU, waliwo uniform ebeera identity y'omuntu n'ekyakola. So abooluganda nga Church of Uganda n'abalabirizi bonna ne ssabalabirizi waffe twatudde wano tugenda ku by'amateeka byonna biyise mu bulungi, bwe bagazeetinga uniform yaffe mugiwe ekitiibwa, ate Mukama yagituwa. Bwe bakusanga anoolije ogirina wagifuna ota, ogikozesa ki, ekyo kigenda kuleeta erinnya lya Katonda kugulumizibwa n'okuweebwa ekitiibwa.
Church of Uganda evuddeyo kati buli kimu kiina time yakyo, naye kyembadde njagala okutangaaza nti eno ebadde process nga nnene. Twasooka mu registration process, eyo registration process neegwa, kati netwagala naye abantu abakozesa ebyambalo byaffe obubi nga tulaba nga beeyongera. So netusalawo nti katuteeke katucyanjule mu lwatu nti bino ebyambalo byaffe ate biri protected mu mateeka. So katubuulire eggwanga nti bino byaffe ate biri protected mu mateeka, so that bwona kukwata kati tojja kugamba nti ate saategedde. Wakuba ffe tuli church tetwagala kugenda tukwate buli omu nga tategedde oba nga takimanyi. Nedda, twagala tusooke tubabuulire nti bino ebyambalo byaffe, then bwe banakukwata kati ojja kubanga toyina defense yonna. So ekyo kye tubadde tubatuusaako. Then banakatemba abazanya emizanyo biki abo, of course nabo bwe bakikola mu ngeri emenya amateeka bakangavulwa. Naye ku notisi eno tutaddeko enamba oba bw'oyinza okutuukirira mu Church of Uganda official spokesperson nga office eyo ya provincial secretary. So bw'ogamba nti nina omuzannyo bwe guti tugenda kuzannyira wano mu National Theatre, tetugenda kusanga mu National Theatre tukusangeyo twa-arrestingire. Nedda, OPS ajja kuba akimanyi era anotifyinge abakwatibwako nti bano bagenda balina omuzannyo bwe guti. Ekyo ndowooza ekyo bwe kinakwatibwa. Webale.
Ate abayimbi bo bakkirizibwa nabo okujja okusaba olukisa okukozesa ebyambalo bino.
Anti kyetugambye abayimbi oba bannakatemba abo bali wamu mu group eyo. Kasi otuukirira Ssaabawandiisi w'Ekkanisa nga bwe tutaddewo contact ye ajja okukulambika obulungi. Naye otherwise bwe banakukwatira eyo oba oli muyimbi bayinza okukukwata. Naye bw'onooba otuukiridde office eno gye tutaddeko, then oyinza okugenda mu maaso lwakuba oli munakatemba oba oli muyimbi.
Ate n'abantu baffe nabo bategeeza. Tuli mu time ye media. Toyina kyokuhidinga. Tokitereka. Essaawa zino baturaba. Ku TV ensi yonna eturaba. So bw'okyambala bakulaba, bakuba ekifaananyi kyokola bakiraba. Ate babadde babyambala kusooka tewaddewo musango gwonna. If there is no clear law, then there is no guilty. But now the law has come. Ekiragiro kyajja wano kitegeeza nga okyambala omutima gugenda kumutegeeza wakyambadde ate waliwo ensonga. So where there is law, then there is guilty, then there is sin. So it's upon the person to choose. I am putting it on out of committing sin or out of ignorance, out of not knowing. But now they have known. The Bible is very clear that the days of ignorance are over. Or there are times when we did things in ignorance, but now that we have known, we must be very careful. Again, Uganda. First of all, in English, there are so many cases. There is no suit without fire down there. Coming the same way it has come now, it means many people have been putting them on. There are so many cases. If you want to know, get one of the Sundays and go through. You'll find very many putting them on. So cases are there. Even yesterday, even the other day, even all other days for some years. Cases balina bangi ababyambala.
They know the difference. Before they gazetted it, they had to ask us and also to cross-check things. So we don't think there will be any cause to fear or to worry in that. The fact that URSB was able to guide and then to be able to gazette, and then when it was gazetted, there was no complaints. I don't think. My name is Bishop Professor Alfred Olwa, one of the bishops of the Church of Uganda, here representing the rest with Bishop Nathan Imbisibwe. A few years ago, many of our Christians we're getting more concerned because, like the provincial secretary has said, there was a clear sense in which our identity was confusing to many people. You would see somebody dressed in the bishop's regalia, but with a tie, very close to Church of Uganda, but slightly different. So, as a House of Bishops, one of our work is to guide our Christians in a much clearer way. So together with our provincial chancellor, we were able to meet members of URSB to help us so that we can put forward to them all our vestments. There are very many, and they are very schooled in their field of trademarks, patterning, and all that. And so we came out clearly, as you can see here, what exactly is our identification. So that as church, this helps to identify what we do. And each of these have a meaning. They are not simply just there for the sake of it. Each has a meaning, a theological meaning, in terms of what we do as church and what we believe. So I'm so happy that we have reached this stage. It was all gazetted so that it is clearly known by law and by everyone. And now it's a question of asking us to continue to be a bit more keen so that we don't get disorganized by similar activities like that. But another thing I want to add, there is still more we have to bring to URSB in terms of vestments for the clergy. This we have only done first for the bishops. So we're going to be doing for the clergy. And it will continue for our canons, lay canons, ordained canons, even structures of church, lenience used in church. So there's still a lot, but this was the first step because we realized we needed to come clear enough and on firm grounds in law so that we don't disorganize everyone. I think that's the little I want to give. I don't want to give a lecture on each of these because we do that at the Theological College. Thank you.
Very important aspect of the work that Church of Uganda is doing in Uganda. I would like to thank you so much for coming, and I would like to thank you so much also for putting your mind and thought on these things that we have been discussing for many times. The two bishops who are here will represent the House of Bishops in this matter we are going to talk about, and also the legal mind is with us here, the person who guides operations also in Church of Uganda. Church of Uganda has come out with a public notice. For those of you who have read the new vision of Monday today, July 15th, 2024, we have come out with a public notice which is already published in this paper, and I believe all of you are aware about it. And this public notice is talking about the infringement of Church of Uganda registered trademarks for Bishops Vestments. These trademarks that have been published today is something to do with the intellectual property for each institution. For Church of Uganda, the one of the bishops are already laid down, and it is for everybody's viewing and also recognizing the importance that Church of Uganda has its identity in terms of robes for bishops. And this has come to our notice in many occasions that we see similar attire with other religious sects or denominations which are trying to portray the colors and also the attire the bishops of Church of Uganda always put on. So we want to put a distinction right away from others that these robes and vestments for the bishops of Church of Uganda is something distinct that distinguishes them from other pastors of other denominations. So that's why we thought it is important that these things now are registered trademarks with Uganda Registration Services Bureau, which is already also appended their stamp on this. So that seems to tell us that we are going to be a little cautious for those who are trying to put on, similarly like the bishops of Uganda. They will have to help us to explain why they want to look like the bishops of Church of Uganda, and yet they are not members or they are not servants that the Lord has called into ministry through the Church of Uganda. So that's why this morning we want to be people of information to the world and also to every corner. So when you see this, we have about 42 items that have been patented by URSB, and each of them has a meaning and a purpose. So for that reason, we want the public to understand that Church of Uganda wants to show and want to be people of distinctive character, which would show us how they should look like.
Evuddeyo neyagala okutangaza eggwanga ku byambalo byaba bishop. Tulina ebyambalo bingi nga ba bishop bwe bababuulidde. Waliwo ebyambalo byaba bishop, waliwo ebyambalo byaba reverend, waliwo ebyambalo bya deacons, waliwo ebyambalo bya canons. So naye kati olwaleero tuli ku byaba bishop. Olulala tutandise ku ntegeka endala y'okugenda ku birala, era ne byaba reverend tugenda kubituukako, ne bya canons tugenda kubituukako. Tubirongose tubitangaalize eggwanga nti bino bye byambalo bya Church of Uganda. So kati entegeka eno ey'okulaba nti biri registered mu mateeka ewedde. Kati tubadde tutangaaza eggwanga kiri nti kati omuntu anaasangibwa ng'ayambadde ekyambalo ekyefaananiza ekya bishop owa Church of Uganda nga kiri wano nga bwe birambikiddwa wano mu New Vision, oyo agenda kukangavulwa amateeka. Agenda kukangavulwa amateeka. Kati tuyinza omukangavula mu mirundi ebiri. Waliwo civil case, eyo kati bagenda kooti gwe kusalira omusango ogwa civil. Ogenda kuwaayo enkasi nga nnyingi nnyo. Then waliwo prosecution ngeno criminal. Kati eno DPP agenda kugulako omusango, ayinza okugulako omusango nga wasanze nga oyina ebyambalo bino ebyefaananiza ebyaffe. So omusango baguteekeyo, basooka ku arresting nga bw'aba DPP akuguddeko omusango, baku arresting, then tugende mu kooti, then bwe kusalira omusango, then weesanga eruzira. Weesanga eruzira, ate oddeko lwakuba kooti eyinza okugattako n'enkasi, ogende eruzira ate ogateeko otukompensating eyo enkasi. So kugezaako kutangaliza eggwanga nti tosaanidde kusangibwa mu nsobe eyo. Kati kwe kujja n'entegeka eno twagala tubalambike bulungi muleme kwesanga mu nsobi. Ekyo kye tubadde twagala batangaza. The process of registration has been completed. And after it has been completed, what is left is therefore to now go and enforce the protection of these trademarks that have been registered. And these, the enforcement will be in two forms. The first is, of course, civil. We have put in place a committee of chancellors who will be handling the infringement process, so that when they identify you as a person who has infringed on the trademarks of Church of Uganda in respect to vestments of the bishops, then you can be followed up you can be prosecuted. We can commence civil proceedings against you for infringement, where we will get corrosive damages from you for infringing on our vestments. The second part, which is more robust, is that we are also going to follow you up with criminal proceedings for infringing our trademarks. This means that the DPP will commence criminal proceedings against you. You will be arrested and then prosecuted for infringing on the vestments. What are we saying? And the idea of infringement is that you are causing confusion. You are trying to pass on as a bishop of Church of Uganda, whereas you are not. That's why the Bishop Professor Alfred Ora and Right Reverend Nathan Ahimsiwe talked about identity, talked about uniforms. Each one is identified by the uniform. So we need, if you are from another denomination out there, you also get your uniform together. If you want it also trademarked or registered as your vestment, you register it so that it's also protected. But don't don our vestments, because by doing that you will cause confusion in the public. For instance, you can go to a function, and because of the nature of how you are dressed, they will call you a Church of Uganda bishop, and whereas you are not. So that likelihood of causing confusion because of the similarity of those vestments is what is punishable by law. And as I've said, you will, when you are prosecuted and convicted, or when we commence legal proceedings against you, and the judgment is against you, you will pay a lot of damages in compensating us, or you will serve a prison sentence for that. And the reason why we are coming out now is to notify you, because as we are a church, so that you don't fall a victim of this process. You see, that's why we have put out this public notice. We are not even supposed to put it out, but we have put it up to alert the public. Those who have been infringing should stop. Those who have been passing on as such should stop. If you don't stop, then the long arm of the law will catch up with you. And that is the message of today. That if you have been doing it, unaware or ignorantly, okay, now you are informed. So please, since you have been informed, you are required to stop. If you don't stop, then the long arm of the law will catch up. And as I've said, it can be in any of those forms. It can be civil or you can be arrested as the law provides. One is that the damages that can accrue from infringement are determined by the discretion of court. But of course there are considerations, there are parameters. You know that the Church of Uganda has been here for a while. It is one of the major religious denominations in the country, with over 13 million Christians in this country. So those are some of the parameters. But what I can tell you is that the damages will be high. So you would rather not try. Two is that the imprisonment, the Trademarks Act, provides for imprisonment if you are found to if you are convicted for trademark infringement. It prescribes a 2 years prison term. Once you are convicted, it is 2 years imprisonment, and you can be even given a fine in a criminal trial. So it can be a fine and 2 years imprisonment. So you don't have to spend that. That's what we are saying. We don't have to be imprisoned for 2 years. You are informed and you are supposed to stop or restrain yourself from that process. What I clarified is that the law punishes infringement. If you are trying to pass on as a bishop of Church of Uganda, but when you are not. So all those infringing acts are punished. And so if you have a video that is that came out after the certificates have been granted, then that is an infringing act and it is punishable. And therefore, if it is an infringing act, it needs to be remedied. I tell you that this has been an ongoing process. But because we have seen that there is a lot of infringement going on, that's why we have come out to issue this public notice. But this has been an ongoing process and it has culminated into this information because we realize that most of the people probably could be doing it ignorantly. They may not be aware that these are protected vestments of the Church of Uganda. But now that you know, then the long arm of the law, as I said, is going to catch up if you continue. Then you talked about the comedians and so forth. Those, of course, any unauthorized use will be prosecuted. Any unauthorized use. That's why we have put there the contact of our provincial secretary, who is the official spokesperson of the church. So if you have such an arrangement and you have a play, you can approach the office so that it is clear about the purpose. But otherwise, any passing on as a bishop of the Church of Uganda, when you're not,
releasing information, and accurate information